Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sync Up Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things OneDrive. OneDrive is the home for all of the files that you care about most, and we are here to take you behind the scenes, get the insights and the knowledge to make your experience and your users' experience better. My name is Stephen Rice. I'm a Principal Product Manager here on the OneDrive team, and today I am all alone today. Earlier this week, we revealed the future of OneDrive at our fall event. That was OneDrive AI Innovations for Work. If you haven't watched it already, head on over to aka.ms/OneDrive event 2024 to check it out. Again, that is aka.ms/OneDrive event 2024, 2024. It was an absolutely amazing event full of amazing features and all that kind of goodness. Now today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes with our speakers to learn more about all of those amazing new features that are coming your way and their experience recording and getting that event straight to you. So let's get to it. Well, Jason, I'm excited to have you here. How are you feeling? You just walked off stage.
I'm a little bit buzzing with energy, having come from the stage. It's always exciting to record in the Microsoft studios, and a little bit relieved because now we're like in the process of being able to tell people about all this cool stuff we've been working on, and they're going to have it in their hands soon. So that's kind of, I'm riding a little high.
So you got to do the coveted cap position, you get to tease all the things that are coming down the line.
Actually, the best part is I'm not even teasing everything that's coming. There's so many other cool things we're not talking about yet. It's like the first dessert. There's more desserts.
I was always told to eat dessert first. Let's talk about one of my favorite features. I appreciate you built this personally for me.
Of course.
So personalized pivots and searches coming to my OneDrive Photos experience.
Yeah. No, this is a really interesting kind of thing is we've built out this natural language capability and this semantic understanding of people's photos that they'll have in OneDrive. One of the things that really became interesting was a change from the way traditionally we often build software when you're organizing a whole bunch of content. The traditional way is kind of strict schema. It's organized and it's structured in a very particular way.
Folder, day, month.
Exactly right.
Yep.
And so one of the really cool things is that as we have more understanding of it, we can also look at, for you specifically, what is the most interesting stuff, and then create structure for you to navigate and view and find that you'll experience mostly as, hey, it says dogs and it shows me some photos of my dogs. Cool, let me dive into that. That experience really makes the product all about you, and it kind of makes it that much easier and faster to find things because it's not a whole bunch of stuff that maybe isn't relevant to you or that isn't really focused on the fact that you are deeply into, I don't know, Stephen, maybe Star Wars.
That's a wild guess. I don't know where that would possibly come from. So the other big announcement, I think today, maybe the big announcement, is agents coming to OneDrive.
Right. Copilot agents. They're an incredibly exciting toolkit. One of the things that folks, as they watch the video and they kind of see some of the demos that we're doing on these pieces, and maybe as they've paid attention to all the exciting things happening with OneDrive, SharePoint, and Copilot, is the idea that you want to build your own. You have your own corpus of knowledge. And it's not just all of the information. It could actually be a subset. The scenario that I talk about in there is this idea of being able to take a bunch of documents and create a custom Copilot agent in OneDrive that lets someone then ask questions and learn all about it, maybe if they're new to the team. And it becomes such an interesting way to change how people can find, discover, and kind of consume that information. It's incredibly powerful. And what's really exciting is as we've been playing with it ourselves, we keep finding new ways we might want to use it. One of the fun ones that I built the other day using a custom Copilot in OneDrive, creating this Copilot agent was I have this document filled with all sorts of interesting quotes, famous figures, all sorts of things that are great ways to think about life. And I created a custom Copilot agent that can go over that. And I can literally ask it questions like, is there anything about how to think about, not getting dessert at the end of a meal? And it'll suggest some famous quote about, how to think about not always getting what you want or something like that. And so it's kind of a fun way to use the power of Copilot and this LLM technology and unlock it with your personal data or your organization's data in such a useful way. And so it's kind of one of the things that I'm almost more excited, not just about the technology, but the new ways that we've not even thought of that people are going to use it. It's going to blow our minds.
I am beyond excited to see how people use all these features when they get their hands on it, especially when you talk about something like literally custom Copilot agents, you know, like the personalization comes through so strongly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited. So we talking, this is, a little bit of a tease. Next year sounds like is roughly the timeline.
Yeah. there'll be some stuff that's this year, some stuff that's next year. But as we look at this, the biggest thing for us is we want to make sure it's great. Like, we're not going to ship anything that we're not really proud of and super confident in. But we also want to move fast. There's so much value to unlock in people's OneDrives and people's SharePoint document libraries across their SharePoint sites, their teams that they use, etc. All of this information that's in your organization today, like, it's just ready to power so much of this. And so we're chomping at the bit to get it out as fast as we can.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. This is our second annual OneDrive event. Last year was our first dipping our toes into the waters of Copilot. This year is Copilot agents. Now I'm excited for next year.
What's next? That's going to be cool.
Thanks for joining me, Jason.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Stephen.
Arjun, welcome back to the Sync Up podcast. Excited to have you back on here again.
Thank you, Stephen. Great to be back.
Yeah. So you just walked off stage having finished your recording for the OneDrive Fall event. This is your first time recording for us, I think, right?
It is, yes. It's a fantastic experience. I think the best part about doing like a show like this, you really get to see how the features you've been working so hard on, will play out in the lives of the people that will actually use the product. So it really is about storytelling. It really is about how do you make sure that the features you've been working so hard on and the ins and outs, but like how do they come across, in an easy to understand manner? And that really, once you have that and you record this and you see that, it just gives you, a great sense of energy, right? Because you can finally start to see in your mind, oh, this is how millions of our users are going to use this exact feature, and just gives you a sense of pride. And that kind of propels you as you do this recording.
Yeah, it's the thing I enjoy watching the most, I think, is, even with the podcast, I'll talk to folks, I hear pieces of what they're doing, but it's all like, oh, Arjun's doing this Copilot stuff.
Right.
Arwa's doing this photo stuff, whatever it might be. And then you put it together into a show like this where you spend the time with the storytelling, you put it all together in order, and you're just like, oh, that's what we're doing.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing about working on a show like this is, as you write the script and you talk to the designers, you actually come across, so many insights. And I've also seen that it's helped, feature development as well, because I might be writing something like, this is actually not the way I want it, or I see a design, I'm like, no, this is not the way I would, want this feature. And then you actually have an opportunity to take a bird's eye view of the entire thing. Right. So it's also helped me fine tune, a feature I might be working on. So that was an interesting, side outcome of doing all of this.
So we're filming inside of the Microsoft Studios. There's the whole fancy setup. You've got the teleprompters, all the lights are on you. What is that experience like?
Bizarre, right? Like, you get makeup on your face. I mean, that's not how I come to office every day. I don't know about you, Stephen or Arvind, but yeah, it was really bizarre. If you've got, the butterflies because you've not done this before, you come in, you get ready, and then this amazing stylish person starts to touch your hair and starts to put makeup. Yeah,
gotta make sure your shirt is hanging just
exactly,
right.
Like you've got the right colors on. So it just makes it all look very glamorous, which is great.
Cool. So let's talk about your section of the presentation, what you talked about. The standout feature for me has got to be catch-up. So tell me a little bit about that.
Catch-up really was born because I, like so many of our customers, we're in so many projects, we work on so many documents at any given point in time. I have found myself missing important updates. I might be working on a presentation and someone might have come and added a few slides or removed something. And then when I go back to that document after a couple of days, it kind of is unrecognizable. I'm like, hang on, when did these changes happen? Or I could be working on an important, update for, an executive meeting, and there could be so many comments. In fact, I like to joke about that. A lot of times our work happens in comments, right? Because the document takes a new shape in the comments pane.
As you're working through it.
Exactly, right? But then again, it's so difficult to keep track of all these conversations, comments and, edits made to documents that you've been working on. And I think what AI and Copilot is really great at is summarizing all of these discrete, large pieces of information into, digestible chunks. I think summarization has been a great fan favorite ever since we launched it. Summarization in, Outlook has been really well appreciated. And so we really thought about, all right, if we could bring all the important updates that you might have missed out if Copilot was not there to bring attention to it, like what would that feature look like? So that's how Catch-Up was born. And it's just the start, by the way. You know, what we showed in the event is our first attempt at Catch-Up, right? It's we're going to learn. We really focused on highlighting the most important files and the most important updates. But I can tell you right now, we're already working on a much more revamped experience for Catch-Up.
The thing you just saw, already old news, time for the new thing.
Correct. I mean, that's the age we live in, right? Like a pilot is moving at the speed of light, right? So what you're working on is already outdated. Yeah, I'm excited about the first iteration of Catch-Up, going out in the hands of our customers, us getting feedback, and then just continuing to improve. I actually see Catch-Up as one of our core, experiences that we can deliver in OneDrive through the magic of Copilot.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks for spending the time today, Arjun.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Arwa, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Stephen. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So you just walked off stage, the second to last recording for the OneDrive event. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling pumped. So excited for everything we are showing today, everything that's coming in product. And thanks for this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited. So to start with, I had my list of notes of things I want to talk to you about, and I added this in as I was watching you record. More than I think any other part of the event, I felt like your section was really talking about the joy that OneDrive can help bring to people. What went into making that one of our themes, I guess I would start with?
Yeah, that's a great observation. And when I think about our job here as a OneDrive product for customers, when it comes to photos and videos, we really need to do justice by customers' most precious content in their lives, their memories. And it is the memories themselves that have so much of that untapped emotion. It contains joy and the pieces, the emotions that went with that particular life moment. And so our job really is to allow for that to shine and to get out of the way as much as we can to really enable our customers to feel the emotion associated with their content. And so we think about our job here as enabling you to find your content, your most precious photos and videos as quickly, as easily as possible, especially given the troves of memories we now collect in our phones and in our devices. How do you actually get back to that memory that you're maybe thinking about? Or maybe you're not thinking about it. It's kind of buried somewhere. And how do we bring up a memory that will give you a spark of joy in the moment without you even thinking about it?
Yeah.
We've put a lot of thought into how do we enable customers to really find and connect with their memories in that way.
Yeah, and that brings us really nicely to, you announced the new OneDrive Photos mobile photos experience. Tell me a little bit more about that. What are we changing?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Oh my goodness. We on the OneDrive team have really took a step back to really design our mobile experience with the thought process of how do we ensure, without taking away from files, that your photo and video content can shine and really stand out. And so there are a few things that went into our redesign here. One, how do we bring search front and center? And you'll notice a very ergonomic placement of the search bar that your thumb can easily get to on the mobile device in order to really quickly go in and with natural language search, again, searching how you speak, being able to quickly type in, hey, I want to find that photo of cake smashed on my face and get to it really easily. We've also designed photo views that help you get back to your content in ways that you might not intentionally know to get to, but hey, I know that there's this photo of me and my friend. Let me go look for that photo of my friend by going to the people view and tapping on my friend and seeing all of the photos associated with that person. And a new concept that we've introduced in the last year is called Moments of Joy. And this is where we've curated sets of photos for you based on either events or activities, or even on this day has been a really popular one over the years. And so here's a fresh set of photos that you might want to take a look at that will evoke a sense of joy and just take you back to that place that you were when that event or activity happened.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this to roll out. You said, I think in the video, the new experience rolling out on iOS and Android coming in next couple of weeks, it sounds like.
That's right. We are in the process of rolling out now, so we are a few weeks away from all customers across Android and iOS having access to it.
Awesome. And as we look to the future a little bit, how do you expect our photos experiences will play on maybe other devices that aren't, your phone?
Absolutely. As with everything OneDrive, we hold true. Our job here is to ensure your experiences for your files and your photos sing across all of the endpoints that you use in your life. And so we are actively working to bring the new photos experience to our web product and to desktop users as well. So stay tuned for more news in that.
Great. Well, thank you for taking the time today, Arwa, and congrats again on such an amazing event.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, Carlos, welcome back on the Sync Up podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going well. I should ask you that question. You just walked off stage. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. That was my first time, helping put together some content for the team that's going to go out publicly. I'm a big fan of working behind the scenes. Been doing that for a while and feel comfortable there. So I hope I did justice to the subject matter today.
I think you did. So let's talk about some of the features you talked about today. So first up, I want to talk about the Twilight Zone. So this is the internal name. So tell me, what is the Twilight Zone and where did that name come from?
Yes. As many people have reminded me, that is not a customer-facing string or a label that we put on our user experience. However, it's very apt to describe a pretty big gap in the experience that we've had in OneDrive for a while, unfortunately, that we're just now helping finally connect for users in a more intuitive way. When users visit a shared folder that someone else kind of sent them a link to, today that experience is kind of disconnected from their own OneDrive, from what they're used to seeing in libraries, in the file picker, etc. We realized that there was actually a large number of people accessing OneDrive that way, which is a testament to its success, right? A lot of people are receiving links to shared folders. So when you arrive at a shared folder, you should really be able to find the placement of it in relation to everything else that you have access to. And we weren't doing a very good job of that. We were not giving you the proper navigation, even small details like what part of the navigation is selected and telling you sort of the wayfinding of here you are, here's where that is contained. And so it's kind of a very honest moment for us to realize, hey, we're not doing great by customers' eyes. We're kind of leaving them this weird twilight zone. There's no navigation to get out of. And so that's where, unfortunately, someone mentioned that in a meeting, and then the name
takes over. Yep.
So the Twilight Zone is going away. We are getting rid of it, even though that's kind of the internal name of the feature, is solving the Twilight Zone. Customers will be able to enter a shared folder, and it'll just feel very much like it's aligned to and sensibly kind of connected to the rest of their OneDrive and files experience in Microsoft 365. And if it's not, then we want to keep evolving and improving it, whatever that may be.
Yeah, so this is like the left navigation will show up so you can see all of your favorites, your pin files, you can get to My Files easily, all that good stuff, right?
Exactly. And there's also additional smaller refinements you may not immediately notice, but you'll kind of detect. Like, oh, we're going to do a better job at identifying like profile pictures. Logo of a site is now part of the experience in more cases. These signals that often you may not notice distinctly or go looking for, but the moment you're in a site that has, say, a green logo, you kind of know you're in the right place, right? And so we want to leverage all these aspects of the way, our vision works to keep us grounded in where we are and not have it feel like extra work. Or feel cluttered on the screen, which is a common thing that we let ourselves kind of do in the experience too much.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about the file picker as well. So this is one of the other big things we talked about. What is new coming in the file picker?
This is another place where it kind of had a little Twilight Zone tinge to it.
Yeah.
Our file picker is meant to be not a side door to the file system. It's in many cases is the primary door. You're already doing work in Word, in PowerPoint, and you want to go open a file that you maybe haven't opened recently or that you know where it is, and you don't quite know how to get to it with the existing experiences. Unfortunately, the Microsoft 365 suite, because it's got a long history of being created in many platforms and in many places, didn't have that unity of navigation that we've been able to deploy and that we're announcing today. Now we're going to create a file picker whose the entire technology, from the back end all the way to the display technology, is aligned and is actually built with the same code that OneDrive is. As you do a move operation, an open operation, or a save as operation inside Word and Excel and PowerPoint, you'll be able to get an experience that resonates, that you recognize, and that is also tuned to you, because the navigation that OneDrive displays, it depends a lot on which libraries you access, which files have been shared with you, which are your favorite files. These are things that they're sort of pools of content that we didn't have uniform access to before. And because we're unifying the experience, unifying the navigation, and getting rid of all twilight zones we discover, this will feel a lot more familiar and intuitive, even as your collaboration and storage needs become more sophisticated.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, thank you for representing the work, Carlos. I know it is the work of many people, but you did an awesome job. And looking forward to see what people think of it.
Thank you. Yeah, and please keep the feedback coming.
Guy, it's great to talk to you again. How's it going?
It's going well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just got to watch you walk off stage for the OneDrive fall event. How'd it go? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it was super fun. This was my second time doing it, so I was definitely a little less nervous. But yeah, it was really fun, and everyone made it super easy to record.
Yeah, that's great. So you were talking about how we can make OneDrive easier to manage, particularly with this era of Copilot and everything that's going on. I know one of the big things people or admins in particular are concerned about and worried about is how they can manage this kind of sprawling environment. What are we doing that's going to help admins with that problem?
So we know that, admins can have hundreds, thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of sites. And it can be really hard to make sure all the right policies are there. And so we're bringing AI-powered policy recommendations. Ooh. So the idea is let's say you have, the legal site, and that has all the right policies there applied. But you want to find other sites that might have similar content. And so you can use our AI-powered policy recommendations to find other sites that are similar based on the content, and then see, which policies are missing. Ooh, so that it's super easy to then go and apply those and make sure all of your content is protected.
That sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it'll save a ton of hours of time, if not days, probably.
Days, hours, weeks,
yeah,
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So another feature you talked about was archive. I know we announced the kind of site-level archive earlier this year. What's new in the archive world? How are we helping users there?
Yeah, so the thing that we're bringing soon is file-level archive within sites. We know that's been a big source of feedback from our admins and customers. And so the idea is, as an admin or a user who has the right set of permissions, you can set up rules based on last access time. So let's say files who haven't been touched in over 3, 4, 5 years, you can set up for those to go to archive. Or the users with the right set of permissions can also archive stuff manually. And that way you can make sure, all the content that's active is actually the one that users are using. But archive files are still there in line. You can move them, rename them, search for them. And then it takes about up to 24 hours if you want to reactivate an archive file.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So the content's all still there. Users can see that it exists, but it's kind of in this inactive state, and then they bring it into activity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Reactivate. Yeah. So it's super easy. And we're really excited to bring that to all of our customers.
Awesome. So the last one, I know people ask us about this constantly. It shows up in office hours every month.
Yeah.
That is the sync reporting features that we've kind of been releasing. So what's new in sync reports this year that customers can look forward to?
Yeah, our top ask has been how to export the data, especially for, customers who have tens, hundreds, thousands of devices. Managing that through the portal hasn't been super helpful. And so, we're bringing through Microsoft Graph Data Connect the ability to export the data. And so you can set that all up in Azure, export it, and then you can import it in things like Excel, or in the case where that I showed in the event in Power BI. And then you can join it with any other data source you have, whether that's other data from Microsoft Graph Data Connect related to OneDrive and SharePoint, or information about departments or, location of employees, and create all the fancy dashboards you want.
This is one of my favorite things about these types of data export features is seeing what customers create with it, and then show us here's the dashboard I built in Power BI.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be way prettier than what we showcased today.
Yeah. So when can customers expect some of these amazing features?
Yeah, great question. So the export feature that we just talked about is actually already available in public preview and will go GA later this year. And archive for files is coming next year, so stay tuned for more on that.
Perfect. Well, thanks for taking the time, Gaia, and congratulations on such a great event.
Yeah, thanks so much. Hope everyone enjoys it.
All right, so we are here for another interview. This one's a little bit odd.
This is impromptu.
It's impromptu. It wasn't scheduled. But Arvind, we are in the studio together at the OneDrive Fall event. How are you doing, man?
This is like a first, I think. I mean, we've seen each other before, but we've never recorded together in the same room at the same time.
And in a studio that is way nicer than that normal home office.
The home setup with both of our home offices with all the Star Wars paraphernalia. Yeah,
I know it is missing in here. It's unfortunate.
We don't have a Star Destroyer or a Venator class ship that you have in your house. So,
in addition to all your Sync Up podcast duties, Arvind, you've also been like the showrunner, the organizer for the OneDrive Fall event. So I'm going to talk to you now, not as a co-host, but you're in the hot seat.
Oh, okay. We'll see how I do then.
So just to give folks an idea, at what point did this process start? When did we know we were going to do an event in fall, and when did the planning for it start in earnest?
So this is the second event that we're doing. So we did one last year, and I think it's just to give the audience a little bit of a perspective. OneDrive is an interesting product because a lot of people use it. There's hundreds of millions and gazillions of people that are using it because it's in all of our PCs and whatnot. It's an incredible product, incredible scale, but it's also a kind of a hard product to market. Because it's not a feature, it's an experience that comes with your M365 subscription. And so
it's a foundation too.
It is a foundation. Exactly. That's a better way of putting it, actually. It's foundational to your M365 experience and all the collaboration and everything. But when you think about what we as a company will tend to market, it's hey, it's the latest features for SharePoint, or it's the latest features of Office, right? Yeah. And for OneDrive, we are falling into this not no man's land, but no person's land of hey, how do we get the word out? Because we're not going to put, as a company, we don't have OneDrive on billboards. We should. We don't. But so when we have a lot of innovation that we've been working on, how do we get the word out to customers? Because again, there's a gazillion people that are using it. Last year, when we released OneDrive, the Gen 3 version of OneDrive, we were hey, we gotta get this in front of people. And so we had the genesis of the idea of creating this sort of live event that we could then, show all this great innovation and then stick around as product managers at the end of the at the end of the event and answer questions. And so that event last year did so well. We got such a great response from our fans, from our customers, from even the press, that we knew that we needed to do it again this year.
I just remember going into the day, it was October 7th, whatever day it went live. We were sitting there debating oh man, is anyone going to tune in and watch?
I think we're getting 100 people come.
If we get 200 people, I will be happy.
Right.
And we got way more than that, and we got pickup, and it was awesome.
It was hilarious because two things I think I remember about that day. One, everybody was talking about being on Tech Meme, and I was that's not our news source that I read because I read other tech sources. Now I read it. But everyone was really stoked about it. I was oh, that's cool. OneDrive made, the front page Tech Meme. So that was very exciting. But then on the number of people actually showing up to the event, we thought you were there. We thought 200 people come. And so that we would try to do this Q&A, and we'll just try to wing it, because how many questions are we really going to get,
goodness.
And as soon as we opened the phones, as it were, for questions, we got instantly flooded, and we were trying to scramble behind the scenes to get the right people to answer the questions, and it was a mess. And we're going to do better this year, we promise. So
this will come out after, so we did better.
We will have done better. How about that?
So when did we start planning for this event, to give folks an idea?
This year we started planning a little bit, a lot further in advance. So we knew that we wanted to create another moment. And we knew that it was roughly going to be in October. And so, as early as like January, we started to think about like what were the major pieces that would launch, sort of like in the late spring, summer timeframe. Even though we might have talked about those things at a place like, at a forum like M365's collab conference or whatever, we knew that we could, repackage the story or tell more of the story for October. So we kind of stacked everything together with that. But then this year, we also had the benefit of like making this about more than just our commercial audience, right? So like OneDrive has a lot of value for commercial, has a lot of value now for consumer because like we're betting big on photos. Yeah. And so we've got a lot of innovation that we showcased at this event this year that showed how like, hey, mobile is our first beachhead of where like, yeah, we are betting big on photos, but that experience is, we showed in Jason's talk, that's going to be coming to Windows. It's going to be coming to your browser. You're going to have one unified photo experience everywhere.
It's one of my favorite things about these types of events, especially with the kind of background of when it started planning, is seeing all the pieces for it line up. Like with the photos refresh, for example, it was really funny to watch. Like, okay, are we gonna talk about it in June? Do we talk about it in August? Oh, maybe we hold it for the October event. Mm-hmm. And watching these stories that we're telling coalesce into like, oh wow, this actually like, this is really cool to have this all come together. Photos, Copilot.
I think it's like the idea of it coming together is a really interesting one because I think like historically most product teams just like kind of release things when they release them and they might talk about them through a blog post or maybe a press release if they're really ambitious. I think having an event like this has caused us to be a little bit more thoughtful about how we package all of those things up together to sort of create a moment. And I think like it's been really interesting to watch because like everyone internally now like thinks about their feature and they're like, well, hey, will it be in the show? Can I get it to showcase on this big forum? And I think that's really great because I think like we have a lot of customers. They want to hear about these features and we're building a lot of great stuff. So let's coalesce around one single moment. Yeah. What's been your favorite moment of the recording today so far? Well, one, I was really stoked at how everybody like brought, and represented all of the features. Yeah, like because I mean, like behind the scenes, there's like I don't know how many people would you say like between the engineers and designers and all the product managers, hundreds, I think, if you're looking at all disciplines. So like you want to make sure that your products are represented really well, and so I think the speakers all did an amazing job of representing that. I'm also just struck at how seamless or efficient everything was today. Like everybody the whole ship is just really tight. The event's been awesome. And I'm looking forward to see what everyone's reactions to it is. I can't wait. You can catch it on YouTube if you didn't catch it, obviously. And leave us some comments, share it with your friends. And also download the apps. What were the other big messages? Download the apps. Go try Copilot. Well, I'm glad I was able to pull you into a booth in between recording sessions, Arvind. It's great to catch up with you. Yeah. And it's great to be in person with you, Steven. Like always. We should do this more often. All right. Hopefully you found all those interviews as enlightening as I did. It was just awesome to talk to all of them. And I literally cannot understate the energy that was in that room as we're showing off these amazing features, from fan favorite things like colored folders on Windows to some of the new AI goodness that is coming. The agents are being a particular standout as a really cool feature. And I'd be remiss, of course, if I didn't talk about how awesome the new OneDrive mobile redesign is. I am so excited personally just for the new pivots and features and customizations and what we get there. So a huge thank you again to our guests, Arwa, Jason, Gaia, Arjun, and Carlos. Of course, I get to thank Arvind as well. We actually got to meet up in the studio, which was always so cool. And it was just great. So thank you to all of them for making that possible. If you want to learn more about OneDrive beyond watching the event, you can check out our blog at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog. You can check out myself at LinkedIn at srice08. Arvind, as always, is Arvind Mishra 1. In case you haven't heard us say it before, we love hearing from all of you, our listeners. You can reach us on Twitter at OneDrive, and you can tag it with #SyncUp, and we'll try and keep an eye out on and respond to all those good things. And you can also visit our page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/syncup. If you want to email us directly, you can do so at syncupquestions@microsoft.com.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Sync Up wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy Sync Up, if you find it useful, tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to get people engaged, help us grow the show. If you're curious about other Microsoft podcasts, check out aka.ms/Microsoft/podcasts. As always, a huge thanks to Lisa for making this podcast possible. Thanks as well to Brandon, the audio engineer who helped us record all of the interviews. That wraps up this episode of Sync Up. Thank you all for listening. I have been your host, Steven. Arvind was here as well, and we will catch up with you next month.